I've got something very special for you tonight. As you know, the iPhone 16 announcement isn't for a few weeks yet, but in preparation for that, Benks have already sent me out 2 of the iPhone 16 Pro cases so that I can check them out. Now, full disclosure, this video is not sponsored by Benks. I'm not on Team Benks, but they did send these over to me for free, but they haven't asked me to say anything about them except to give them my honest opinion and feedback. So I'm really excited about these cases. These are my first cases for the iPhone 16 Pro, which I'm definitely going to get. Now, these are both Kevlar cases. The one I have here is the plain Kevlar Armor Pro case, and this one is the Kevlar Armor Pro Montage case. Now, these are meant to give full protection all around the phone and includes buttons and everything. If you watch my channel, you know I much prefer the Armor Air cases by Benks, which give a nice snug fit and don't add much to the size of the phone at all. But this is what Benks have for now, so it is what it is. Let's have a look at them. So let's first go with the plain Kevlar Armor Pro. Now I'm really excited to see what these cases are like, because you know, cases can often tell you quite a lot about the new iPhones which haven't even been announced yet. So that's the case. Now this feels just about as good quality as the Kevlar cases Benks have sent me in the past. So Kevlar on the back, a rubber edge. On the inside we have the usual markings for the MagSafe and the Kevlar and so on. Once again, I have to say this Kevlar looks really nice, this Kevlar print. I wish it was on the outside. Like if it was down here, then everyone would know your case is made out of Kevlar, which I find would be quite cool. Aha, now we're starting to see some secrets here. This is where cases can tell you quite a lot about the phone that isn't even announced yet. iPhone 16 Pro is coming out in about 2 weeks, and there's so many rumors about the extra button that's going to be here, which is presumably going to be for the camera. And you can see that these cases are already, so it's pretty much confirmed that there's going to be an extra button here that most likely is going to be for the camera. So as for the placement of it, I guess it's okay. To me, it feels a little bit too far to the left. Like if I was using this as a camera, I'd probably want it closer to the end here. But, you know, this is it, guys. This is where it's going to be. Now, as to what kind of button it's going to be, it doesn't look like it's going to be a physical button because there's a hole in the case instead of a button like these. That's definitely going to be touching the phone directly. So it looks like it's going to be some kind of capacitive button that doesn't actually physically press, but it's more like the trackpad on a MacBook, where it's going to be a solid button, but it's going to have some kind of like pressure sensitive device, and it's going to give you some haptic feedback. And the fact that the depression extends further out from the actual cutout, which means that there's going to be some kind of sliding action there, which is probably going to be for the zoom. Now before we move on, I also have the Armor Pro from last year, so let's compare it to that. So this is the Armor Pro for the iPhone 15 Pro, and as you can see, there are a few differences. First of all, the buttons are different. So the buttons on the iPhone 16 case are not floating buttons like on the iPhone 15 Pro case. We've gone to the like cutout style buttons, which I am not a fan of personally. I much rather the metal buttons on the iPhone 15 Pro case. There's also a very slight difference in color, but here we have another iPhone secret being exposed. You can see how this 16 Pro case is ever so slightly taller than the 15 Pro case. So if I level them up on the bottom, you can see that the 16 Pro case sticks out just a little bit. So the 16 Pro is definitely going to be a little bit taller. And to me, it feels like it's going to be, I can't say. It's probably, that thickness, the width is probably the same. I can't really feel any difference there. So getting back to the case itself, you have a metal camera protector. Yes, there's definitely metal. You can feel that it's cold. So the camera protectors are pretty much identical from the 15 Pro to the 16 Pro. And actually a lot of the case is identical as well. Let's check the port cutouts. Port cutout look identical. Let's have a look at the button placement. You've got the new button on the right hand side. It looks like the power button has moved slightly as well. So the power button is going to be a little bit higher, and I suppose that compensates for the slightly taller phone. On the right hand side, the buttons look like they're in pretty much the same place. So if you're used to the iPhone 15 Pro buttons already, then the new one should be just fine. The insides look identical material wise. The edges look identical as well. I think the only difference then is that the buttons are now cutout buttons instead of floating metal buttons, which to me is a bit less premium, but we'll have to see how it feels when the iPhone 16 actually comes out and I get to try it in this case. So let's put the Pro cases aside now, and let's have a look at the Pro Max case. So in a very similar packaging to all of Benks' other cases. Let's get this open. And there we have it. Now this one is the montage case. Now I'm a fan of the montage pattern, even though I'm not a fan of the fully protective cases like this. But the pattern is awesome. The pattern is what I have on my iPhone 15 Pro right now. This is the Armor Air montage, and this is the Armor Pro montage. And immediately I can see a difference here. Instead of saying designed by Benks, it now says montage art. Okay, cool. That's all right. I'm okay with that. But I think it is important to have a bit of yellow down there just to offset the, the all black nature of the case. Now the camera protector looks a little bit different as well. I feel like the new one is plastic, although I can't say for sure 100%, but it feels cold-ish. But the older one feels even colder, so perhaps the new one is plastic. Now obviously there's a big size difference because we're talking about the iPhone 16 Pro Max now. So the buttons are obviously going to be in different places, but let's have a look at them. Buttons on the left, to me, look pretty much in the same place as the 15 Pro Max, but obviously I can't see for sure. And on this side, again, we have the brand new camera button, I'm going to start calling it, and the power button up there. This one also to me feels a bit too far up the side. Again, if I was taking photos of this, I would want it more like here, because when you're using a digital camera, your finger tends to come from the side when using a camera. So I would expect it to be more like so. This one is quite far in, so there's a lot of finger stretching going on. And if you do it like this, then you're kind of blocking some of the screen. So I'm not sure about the placement. I mean, I'm happy that they're having a camera button with integrated touch to zoom and everything, but the placement of it to me seems a little awkward. We'll have to see that for sure when the phone actually gets announced and actually comes out. But first impressions is to me that camera button is kind of too high. I don't see how that's going to be comfortable to use. Maybe you're meant to use it like this with your thumb. So this makes a whole lot of sense, actually. I mean, a lot of people are taking vertical pictures now, a lot of vertical pictures and video. And during videos when you want to zoom, so perhaps this is what it's supposed to be. Perhaps you're meant to hold it like so and take your portrait videos and portrait photos. And that way, your thumb just rests there quite naturally. Let's try the 16 Pro. Yeah, again, the thumb rests quite naturally there. So if it was any lower, you wouldn't be able to use the camera button or the zoom function like that. You drop your phone. So I suppose this is what Apple has in mind. They want people to use their phone in portrait mode more. And I guess you could do that, if you want to take landscape photos and use your thumb. Well, maybe we're looking at a whole new paradigm in phone photography. You're going to start seeing everyone walking around like this, taking pictures now, instead of like this. I mean, yeah, this could still be used. So perhaps that was a compromise Apple had to make. Okay, so that's enough for now. Obviously, we're going to have to wait until we get the actual phones in our hands before we can try these out. I'm really glad Benks were able to send these out to me. I asked if there was an embargo or anything, and they said no, you can show them off. You can tell who you want, talk to who you want. So here we are, sneak peek at the Benks iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max cases. And not only do they tell us a lot about what Benks is doing, but a lot about what Apple is going to do. And of course, just before I go, I have to do the obligatory, will the old phone fit in the new case? So iPhone 15 Pro into iPhone 16 Pro case, and it does fit, of course, because the iPhone 15 is a little bit smaller and the camera lines up. You can see the gap is mainly at the very bottom. If the gap is at the bottom, then the camera actually fits quite nicely. The buttons kind of line up as well. Yeah, the buttons do kind of line up. So if you really wanted to, I guess you could put your iPhone 15 Pro into the 16 Pro case. Just note that there will be a space at the bottom there. You can see all of that gap happening. The buttons actually feel, well, they feel okay, but I rather the metal buttons. These feel a little bit squishy. They're usable and they're clicky, but nothing compared to the proper metal buttons of the iPhone 15 Pro case. In fact, let's put it in and see if we can tell the difference. Yeah, so the old metal buttons are a real big step up. It's a bit of a shame that they went with the cutout buttons this time, but I think that's probably the only difference between the cases. As far as looks go though, if you want protection, this amount of protection, and you still want the look of Kevlar fiber, then these cases continue to definitely look the part. Okay, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. I'm going to be getting the iPhones on launch day. So if you want to see that, be sure to like and subscribe. Check my links below in case you want to buy something and support the channel. So until next time, see you.